Right, so today's project, I'm going to be taking these materials here and I'm going to make a automatic chicken waterer and feeder. Let's go. Okay, so we're going to go and start off with the waterer. So the way I'm going to build this automatic waterer is with this float valve. So I'm going to run this float valve inside of one of these end caps. And then I'm going to put a stretch of pipe in there, and I'm going to drill out the hole to make it to where the birds can feed but not mess with the float valve. And then we'll run this to the external bucket for our reservoir. Alright, so this is going to be the other cap I'm going to use on the end so we can open it up and wash it out when we need to. And I'm not sure exactly how long I'm going to make this yet. I'm guessing about 2 feet maybe. Alright, so let's get at it. Okay, so what I went ahead and did is I marked this at exactly 2 foot, 2 inches. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me a clearance here for the float valve and enough room to make a channel for they can receive their water. And that's how I was taught to make a straight line on a crooked pipe. Now to cut it. I couldn't cut it any better myself. Okay, so now that we have it cut, let's go ahead and make the mark for our holes. And the main thing is we're gonna hide this inside of one end. So we gotta make sure that this is gonna be hidden. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it out there, get it about where it's gonna be, and then just mark a little bit in front of that. So that's where I'm gonna want my hole to start, and it's gonna run to about right here. So now the next step is to go ahead and draw a straight line on here. Easiest way to do that is you grab a level or some sort of block, put it right up against it, and make a line. So now we have a straight line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry fit a couple of these fittings, mainly this one. All right, make sure we're going to be where we need to be. All right. And then now, on this one, I'm going to have to mount the end of this. Well, heat it up and make it malleable so I can slide this one in. We'll do that here in a minute, but I want to make the line of how far it's going to go inside of this pipe. So that's where I want the hole to start, about right there, and it'll go about right here. All right, go ahead and get the hole saw. Alright, now the easiest way to check and make sure everything's going to line up right is I'm going to take my hole saw. Do it like this, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this right on here. Right? And what that's going to allow me to do is allow me to put this down and make a line. And that's where I'm going to drill through. And that's going to ensure that I leave enough spacing for the hole. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Make sure I got it lined up right. All right, lined up right, and then make a line. So those are my drill marks. That's where I am going to drill with the hole saw. So now let's get the hole saw back together. All right. it lined up. And lined up. Now, just take it slow. There we go. We dropped her in. Now just take her slow. Let the saw do the work. There we go. So now we have our first hole, right? This is just the rough cut because we are actually going to follow these through and attach them. Let me show you how we're going to do that. First, I got to get this hole saw back apart and get that piece out. We'll be right back. Right. So now that we got the other piece of the pipe out of the hole saw, we can go ahead and flip this over and let's cut our other hole. Same thing, line her up and take your time. Kind of chewed it up a little, but that's okay. We're going to be fine. Yeah. So now let's go pull that out. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to line up these holes. Right? They don't have to be perfect. It just has to be approximate. Right. Now I'm going to draw a line right into there. Maybe bring that line up just a little bit. Right. Get it right there. All right. Yeah, now those are just rough guidelines. Now I'm about to take my jigsaw and I'm going to cut that line out, and which will leave us a very nice trough in here. The birds are going to love it. All right, so now we're going to connect these lines. We got it roughed in pretty good, and we're going to take some sandpaper to this, smooth all these edges out, and then we'll get to the assembly. Let's get to it. Okay, so now that I got it all sanded out and smoothed it out, we're going to move on to the assembly part. Okay, so for the cap, we need to put the float valve. We got to drill a hole in the cap, and we got to make sure it's low enough to where it could all function right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and eyeball it, and I'm going to want it about right there. All right, so I'm going to go right under that P. It's pretty much where I'm headed. Let's double check, make sure that I can still screw it in. All right, so we're going to go for that lower part of that P. And to drill the hole, we're going to use a stepper bit. So we're just going to do 2 little pops. we might have to go one more. Let's go and check our fit. I always like to check from the outside first, and that was perfect. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and install this through the inside. Make sure everything lines up. Everything lines up. Now that was just temporary. We're going to go ahead and glue all this in and everything like that first before we put this piece. I guess we can put it in there at the same time. It ain't going to hurt nothing. Alright, let's go ahead and start gluing up pieces. Now before we glue them in, I almost completely forgot. This piece is the same size as the 4-inch pipe, so I'm going to have to soften up this end to slide her in there. The way I'm going to do that is with heat. Check it out. Alright, so now I got out my old trusty heat gun. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and soften this up. The way you soften up PVC like this is you just warm it up slowly and keep it rolling. And eventually it'll get to the point where it softens up really well. You'll see what I mean. Give it a second. Now you don't want to stop it moving because you will burn it. You will start to get burns in it. So I like to go on little like figure 8 motions and just keep it moving. Keep it moving. You will feel when it's starting to soften up. And now what this is going to do is it's going to soften it up. See, now it's starting to get a little bit softer. Alright? Keep her moving. Try to get her to soften up as even as you can. Alright, so she's starting to move. That means she's malleable. And then from here, you're going to take this one end and you're going to go round and round. And what that's going to do is it's going to start to open her up. And you'll see this happen in real time if I did this correctly. There we go. Alright. So now once you get her stretched, you want to get her lined up. There we go. Alright, so now that we got her to fit, let's go and get them primed up and get them glued in. Alright, so for this, we're going to use a purple primer and regular clear cement. This is PVC cement, by the way. Let's get our primer out. You gotta be careful with this stuff. This shit will sting anything. Get it primed in there pretty good. There we go. Get our cap primered. Give that a quick moment to flash in. These I always have a hard time opening these. Let's see if it's gonna. Oh, it fucking opened. Alright. Now I have had this cement in here, man, for a long time. Let's see, is it even? Oh yeah, it's still good. Alright. Alright, it's a little coagulated, but it's gonna work. Alright. I don't want this to ever leak, so I'm going to put a liberal amount. Get her in and give her a nice little oomph. There we go. As far as the float valve, we're going to go and take her out to primer and then put her back in. So, go ahead and primer. I give this a second to flash over. And while we do that, I can go ahead and put my float valve back in. So now we're only going to glue this in really good to do a compression fit, and the glue would do the rest. Just going to mix this up really good. I'm just going to do some swirls, make sure I'm getting it. Make sure I'm getting a lot of contact here. That is the goal with this. Alright, so this is phase one. Now for phase two, we gotta finish the reservoir. Alright, so let me clean up my mess and let's get to it. Alright, what I did off camera is I drilled a hole and I put a bulkhead fitting in here where we can go ahead and patch the lines. Now, one of the things I am going to do on here is I am going to hook up a valve. So I already set this little valve system up, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, these are all compression fittings, you just push them in and pull them out. Right. Now this can connect to the waterer. This is a 3-gallon bucket. It is going to work out perfect for my 6 chickens. Okay, so what I went ahead and did is something that I've learned from doing hydro, is I insulated this bucket. And what this is going to help do is going to help keep any bacteria or mold or anything from growing in here. Plus it'll keep it from the harsh elements of the Colorado weather. Alright, so now I got my line set up, and I'll go ahead and hook this bad boy up tomorrow in the morning. Alright, so now let's move on to the feeder. Then we're going to tear down my mess and we'll build the feeder. Onto the automatic feeder. I have a 5-piece of 4-inch PVC and a 4-inch wide. I found this coffee can that fits almost perfect in here to fill the void at the bottom, so I don't have all this dead space of just food that could potentially rot. So now I'm going to cut this to fit in there, and then I got 2. These are rubber. I got 2 rubber caps, one for the bottom and one for the top. This project is very, very simple, and hopefully it's rewarding. So let's go. Okay, so now I already got it cut. Fits nice in there. This will cap it really nice. There we go. Okay, so the next step is I need to glue this to the PVC. Now, tear this apart till we're done. Alright, so the first step is primer. So get it primered up. Now give this a moment to flash over. And now it's flashed over. Let's go ahead and get her glued. got it glued. Go ahead and put this stuff up. Bottom cap. Tear this little plastic thing off. Then our cap, I'm going to loosen it up just so we can get a better fit. That was probably good. Put that down in there. Make sure we get a nice tight fit. Tighten this one up. Alright, so now we got that fitted. Came out nice. Alright, so now on this end, we're going to go ahead and do a cap. This is a gravity fed automatic feeder. I'm not exactly sure how much volume this could hold. It is a 5 foot 4 inch pipe. So for my 6 chickens, I'm guessing it's going to work out great. I'm not even going to use this ring on here because this is just going to be like a rain cap. Just to be able to block out rain or keep any other bugs from getting in there, and it fits nice. Yep, they seem to like it.